the Go Berserk with Email podcast with Navy nuclear engineer turned email software developer, Troy Broussard. So calm.
I'm pissed off, but I'm telling this because I am teaching you how to think differently and how to test differently.
So patient.
And Ben, that's put $500,000 into this company too, is being told that nobody can find the goddamn bug.
So charitable.
I'm going to start paying bounties every time somebody finds a bug. We're going to deduct $10 for that week.
So trusting.
Do not assume that anything works. Assume that nothing works.
And so sweet, it makes sugar taste just like salt.
I want to play into the sexiness of marketing automation, but I also want to slap the complexity of it.
The Go Berserk with Email podcast begins now.
So I figure today, maybe, since you're such a motivational guy, maybe you want to start us off with some affirmations, Troy.
Yeah, I'm the affirmations guy. Get to work. Get to work. Ben
Quit
talks
crying.
about this. Ben and I have this ongoing joke and discussion about like the motivational aspect of things. And it's hilarious. But Ben said, you know, if I ever need some motivation, he'll be my snake water guy. And the guy that sells the snake water fasting or whatever, right? Snake water diet fasting. He just yells and makes fun of people. Hey, fatty. He calls him, hey, fatty, and he yells at him, right? And Ben's like, if you need some more motivation to work out, I'll be your snake water guy. I'll just yell at you, hey, fatty, get to work.
What a friend. What a friend.
That's the way Ben is, man. He is a friend to the core, right? Like he will yell at me on demand. There you go. I mean, it takes good friendship for that, right?
Yeah. So what do you have in store for us today, Troy?
Well, we're going to talk about yet another of the common questions I get. And that is, you know, how do you write email? How do you do this? How do you stay consistent? And how do you send out an email when you just don't even feel like writing an email that day? How do you come up with something? How do you get it done when you really don't even feel like doing it? And I kind of resonate with this. There's always a time, no matter how much email content we've written, no matter how good at we are, there are times when you're just not feeling good. I had a bout with vertigo for about 10 days where, and I mean severe vertigo, like I've never had this before in my life. I would sit up in the morning, I would sit up in bed and I immediately passed out and fell onto the floor. Like I had such severe vertigo. And I went to the chiropractor, get my neck adjusted. And after I got up, he had to hold me because I felt like I was going to vomit and pass out again. The whole room, I mean, it was like 20 times worse than the worst like collegiate hangover that you've had, right? Where the room's spinning and I couldn't even drive. I had to have my wife drive me everywhere back and forth because I couldn't even drive. Like I would turn my head just to check traffic and I would feel like the visual in front of me would take about 3 seconds to catch up. It was really, really nasty. So you know what? We all go through it. There are times where either health or family, I've had family living with me for the last 6 months. My mom's been here and my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law all. Wow. So we've got both grandmas and a brother-in-law with us. So it's been a full house, a lot of stuff going on, right? We all have this. Don't make excuses. You're not friggin' special, my dear little wallflower. You're just one of the rest of us. We all got shit going. It's called life. It happens to every damn one of us. And we just have to find a way to push on through. Now, there are ways that you can approach this tactically, right? Tactically, you can do what I refer to as email banking, or more specifically, email idea banking. And this concept I talked about a couple of episodes ago, and we went into this in great detail. But having a surplus of things to write about is always going to make writing way, way, way easier, because now you're just sitting down to the task at hand and just focusing on writing. You don't have to think about what is it I'm going to write about. You just pick an idea off your hit list that you like, boom, go with it, and you're in the flow and you're writing. So, you know, that's a tactical approach that does help minimize that difficulty when you have it, especially with writer's block and such. But it's not the same thing as just, you know, I'm sick for a week and I can't get out of bed and I need to get an email out. Well, now you've got to go from how do I get over writer's block? How do I speed up the process to just how do I short circuit this process? I need to get an email out, etc. But this is a whole different approach. And I think that what happens is, if you've been prolific at writing daily emails, there's a beautiful aspect of this, which is that you have a bank of emails that you can tap into. You have been doing this for years. I know you have, because you've been listening and you've been consistent and you've been doing the work. If you've been doing that, then you have hundreds, if not thousands, of emails that you can tap into. And so, when I had the bout of vertigo, I just created a promotion on something, one of my core products that I'd promoted in the past. I went out and just recycled some of my old emails that had been sent out 3 years ago. People are not going to remember them from 3 years ago. They're not going to know. And I would contemporize them. I would spend a couple of minutes just proofing them, probably fixing a typo or two that I missed the first time, and probably introducing a new one in the process. But hey, that is my role. And I would contemporize them and boom, and schedule them and go. And so I could reduce that whole email process down to about 2 minutes, right? Take me about 30 seconds to find one. I have a very organized structure. It's one of the things that we do in Berserker Mail. It's one of the new features that we've rolled out a few months ago now, is the ability to not just do free text search across all of your emails, but the ability to search for the text of a word within the links within your emails. So I use consistent linking for my topics and my products, and I could just search for case study, for example, or just the word case, and only search within the links. And it would pull up all the emails that had my case study mastery course that used the word case in that link. And boom, just like that. I mean, within 10 seconds, I have got dozens and dozens of emails from prior promotions that I can pull from. So this is something that I have used a lot when, there's a scale here. There's a range. Sometimes you just absolutely are super sick and you can't do any effort at all. You can just reschedule something. Sometimes it's just a motivational thing and you just got to kick yourself in the ass and just go do it. Right? That's when I would fall back on my email idea bank and just grab something quick or easy. And the other thing I like to do is mix it up. So if it's more of a motivational issue, it's not that I'm sick and I just can't physically do it, but it's more of just a motivational issue, then what I try to do is mix up the creative side of it. So what I mean by that is, instead of writing the email, I'll go for a long walk and dictate the email. Or I'll go somewhere really cool and just sit in the park in my car and just write the email while I'm sitting there in some different place. I do this on product creation a lot. I really enjoy the ocean. And so I'll just get in the vet and drive out to the ocean. It's about a 45-minute drive for me. Go over to Cocoa Beach and sit there at the ocean and, write or work on a product, or have a nice lunch at a seaside restaurant and work through lunch, and just tip the guy nicely to put me in the back and leave me alone and not rush me, and then just sit there and have a working lunch at the ocean, right? And I do that in the middle of the week, so there's nobody around anyway. They're happy for the business and easy to accommodate. Mixing it up like that is another really good way. If it's not that you're physically ill and you're just having some motivational challenges, well, then do that. And the great part about driving somewhere is that if you really want to be productive, and this is what I do, on the ride, I'm dictating ideas to write about. So I'm using the drive as an excuse for content creation as well. And I'm not trying to write the articles while I'm driving. I don't want you to, run into somebody on the expressway here, but you can just record some ideas and capture those ideas and use it to build up your email idea bank. And so all of this is cyclical, right? It's all cyclical, but that's the way I approach it, Jonathan.
Yeah, I like the idea of the location hopping too. I find that super interesting, because a lot of people get stuck working in the same place doing the same thing, and they're in a rut. And I have also driven out to Cocoa Beach and done the lunch thing, looked at the ocean and fat people in swimsuits, and it's motivated me to write emails to get the hell out of there.
You're looking at the wrong people, man. I look for the bikinis that motivate me to stay there. So if you're looking to be motivated to get out, then, I don't know what to tell you. That's a mental block we'll have to work on, my friend.
We gotta work through that. But I like that, and we talked about it in that other episode with the email banking, email idea banking, is that structure, and I think you went into your email structure. I think that's something that's so easy. So if you have that bank and you know what you want to promote, and then you have a structure. What was your structure again? Drop that here. So if they didn't hear it, they hear. But if you have a structure to write to, it's almost like you don't even, thinking's not even required.
Yeah, it's really simple. It couldn't be easier. If you want people to remember stuff, only give them 3 steps. All right. So this is a 3-step structure. It's nothing more than a story, a pivot, and a call to action. That's it. Story, pivot, call to action. And then, come up with a cool subject line to add in there. But I typically write my subject line first, and I just write it as a topic, not a subject line. And then I do my story, and then I do the transition, and then I do the call to action. And the transition is just connecting the story through to what it is you're promoting. So right now, this is the last day of a promotion as we're recording this, the week of Memorial Day. I'm a big military guy. I've got a 400-page hardbound book that celebrates Pearl Harbor. And it has a big introduction about Pearl Harbor, and then it has about 24 chapters of content from 12 other books. It's kind of a best of album, so to speak. And then it has another 100 pages, a swipe from some of my goofy, crazy pilot stories. And it's all military themed. And so it was a great promotion to do over Memorial Day. It's the easiest content in the world for me to write all week because I've got 1,000,001 stories from, military stuff. And then it's just an easy transition. You could just connect that through to the promotion of the week. And so, people really get hung up on the transition of how hard that is. It doesn't matter. The story is the entertainment. And if you're drawing them in with the entertainment and keeping it fun and keeping them engaged, then the transition is just a natural flow into what it is that you're promoting and selling. And yes, let's be really candid. I promote and I sell in every single email I write. I don't play this, let's build value game. I don't play that horse shit. The value is in the life lessons and the stories that are told. And there's value in between all of that. And many times extensive value from, what could be learned from experience of having done things the wrong way or decision making. Hell, I wrote an email the other day about playing cribbage with my son and mugging him with muggins and had some fun with that. So it doesn't really matter, Then I connected the story from that. So cribbage is a very popular game for submariners. We played cribbage all the time. And so I told the story about my son and playing cribbage and teaching him how to play. And one of the goofy optional rules in cribbage is called muggins. And it's muggins, muggins. So what it is when you count your cards and you score, you each score your own hand. Well, so there's a certain way to do it, and there's a correct number. And if you say, I scored 12 points, I'm like, muggins. And you're like, what are you talking about? You actually have 14. You missed these 2. Well, then if I'm correct, I get to steal your 2 points, right? And so I called it mugging with muggins, right? Because I was mugging him his points left and right, but it was teaching him, right? It was teaching him through the discipline of, damn it, Dad did it to me again. And he wants to get better. Well, that whole story connected through to my military days, to playing cribbage on the submarine and all of this stuff. Super, super easy transition into a promotion for my military themed book. So I think people overthink this. They get kind of crazy. It's just a simple 3-step process: story, transition, call to action. And again, like I said, I like to start with a topic at the subject, and then I go back after I've written the story. There's usually something goofy I say in the story that then I kind of tweak and turn that into the subject line. But I don't try to write the subject first, which I think a lot of people do. They want to write their email subject line first. I don't. I just set the topic. I paint the lines really wide on the street just to get me started, and then I narrow them in after I've written the storyline.
There's a lot, and it's been over the last 3 episodes that I hear about assembling your writing. I call it story sculpting, what you're describing there, where you wrote the story and then you go back and use that story to hit the headline, because that's what I like to do as well. I just put a subject as a placeholder. I'm really going to get my subject from the story most times. And then having that discipline and consistency of doing it every day makes it easier, so you don't need this stuff like motivation and what do I write. This is the law of reps, repetition. That's what you are, right? You are what you repeatedly do. So if you're doing writing, if you're being creative every day, this is just an extension of who you are. And if you're not able to do that, then as Troy has told you, maybe you need to go work for somebody or get a job in the government or something.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, repetition is really the key here, because if you are practicing daily email with repetition and getting those reps in, then you get faster at writing email. You get faster at idea generation. You get faster at connecting the stories and the transitions and tying it into your call to action. So the speed increases. But here's what's also interesting is that is a cumulative process. It compounds week after week. You get faster and faster and faster at it. And you also get better at it in the process. And it gets easier because you're setting the habit. You're doing it on a daily, consistent basis. So, and it also gets easier because now, even when you're sick and you can't send out emails for a week, you can just go in, find 5 minutes in a day, 3 minutes in a day, 2 minutes in a day, and grab some older content, tweak it, and resend it, because you've got that bank of inventory of emails because you have been consistent. Right? So that, again, is yet another way that repetition really is the master of all skill to be successful with email and email writing. You got to get your reps in.
Yeah, it's, there's a master class in these last 3 episodes. And I'm going to say this from my own personal experience. When I started writing daily emails, it was hard as hell. When I first met Ben, it took me like an hour to write an email, and I suffered through it, and I did it daily, and it was horrible. But the reps that I put in there transitioned to make me a better writer when I started writing articles. There was time where I was working with Sean D'Souza, and we were writing 2 articles per week, 1,000+ words, finished, polished articles. Everything that I did with my daily emails played in there. And then even now today, where I'm working on viral video stuff, it's the same thing. It's the same process, the same form. Those reps. Oh, it doesn't matter what the medium is. Getting the reps in of that creation process eliminates all the other roadblocks you could ever have.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Well, that I think is a wrap, as I like to say. You like to put it in the can. I don't like to put it in the can. I just like to wrap it up, baby. This is a wrap. Nice. You got it, Jonathan. Throw that can away, man. We ain't kicking the can here. We're wrapping the episode.
All right. Another one is wrapped. That was very hard.
That's because you said it wrong. You just got to say, okay, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right. I'll practice that.
We'll work on it, Jonathan. We'll work on it.
I'll get my reps in.
To get a free Berserker Mail test drive with no credit card required, go to startmytestdrive.com. From there, you can play around inside the platform without pressure. Load up emails and campaigns to see how simple the interface is, and get comfy with everything before deciding to join. That's startmytestdrive.com.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.